Boys, welcome.
Thanks,
nice to see you both again.
Thanks for having us.
Nick, Zac, I'm so glad you've come on the show. We're obviously doing some work for you right now with that technical role, which is proving to be a little more difficult than we had all anticipated. But before we sort of get into that kind of stuff and you know how we're working together, I'd love to talk and explain to our audience about what SMATA does. So maybe Nick, why don't you kick off? Tell us about SMATA and what the actual company's doing and what problems they're trying to solve.
All right, well, SMATA is a prop tech platform, which, to summarise it, is a workflow management tool for the strata management industry.
Yep.
And
explain what the strata management industry is, because I remember when I first came to see you, I had a vague understanding of what strata management is from having owned units.
This one's a good one for you, mate.
Why not, Zac? Tell us explain that so that some of our audience who perhaps don't understand. What is the strata management industry and what it does, and then how you guys are helping that?
Sure. So strata management is the caretaking of strata buildings, if you like,
yep.
and a strata manager's day-to-day operations is making sure that the building is run effectively. You know, obviously maintenance is looked after,
yep.
annual general meetings and accounts are taken care of. So really, it's the day-to-day operation of a strata building. And so, you know, when we first got into this, Nick and I, similar to you, we know sort of strata from the outside by living in an apartment or by owning an apartment. And so, you know, there's definitely a lot that goes on in the stratosphere, as we say it. And the day-to-day runnings of a strata manager is full ball. They are busy full time.
And it's commercial as well. It's not just residential.
It is.
Right?
It is commercial as well. Yeah.
And just to give you some context on that, when we came into this, it was explained to us that a strata manager on average would get approximately 200 emails a day. They'd be in at 8. They'd finish at 6. They'd attend annual general meetings for the buildings which they manage in the evenings, and then they'd have all these actions that they'd need to perform the next day, based on minutes from the meetings.
Yeah.
So.
And how many properties would an average strata manager? Probably different between commercial and residential.
Sure.
But
Yeah.
So, that's a good one,
So for the strata managers that we work with, they average about 50 buildings per strata manager.
Which is a lot.
Yeah.
So you got 50, and in each building, you would have, what's the average amount of tenants?
The average amount of lots per building is about 20 in Australia.
So that's a lot.
Yes.
That is a lot.
Yep. So you can tell there's a lot of inquiries, there's a lot of interactions, a lot of owners, there's committees to deal with.
Property managers, I guess, as
Property manager is another layer with tenants. So, yeah, there's a lot of stakeholders involved.
So, essentially what you're saying is it's a crazy hectic job.
It is.
Being a strata manager.
Absolutely.
Yep.
So, how have you guys sort of come up with this idea, and what is the idea? So, I don't know, Nick, you tell us.
Well, look, it all started back in 2015 at a hotel in Surrey Hills over a beer, where
as many things do.
As many things do. With Zac, myself, and Michael, our partner, who is an owner of a strata management organisation that, at the moment, looks after 2,000 buildings, over 33,000 units within those buildings. Yeah, and I was in the construction sector at the time, and I was exploring remediation opportunities within the strata sector well before the whole cladding compliance that has reared its head now had occurred. And Michael went on to tell us both about his pain point that he'd been trying to solve for a while, which is his whole communication process with the stakeholders within the buildings which he manages, being clients, service providers, and the strata managers. So he said, look, guys, if you can solve this pain point for me, which we believe we had the expertise and the know-how from our previous lives to solve, he said to us, I'll be customer number one.
Fantastic.
So that's when we together after that, we were like, this is a great opportunity. You know, the strata industry is really, it's rife with inefficiencies. And so we went out.
Customer number one, you haven't built anything yet.
We haven't built anything yet.
You haven't,
no, we haven't built anything.
Just have a beer.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
Customer number one, and he's massive.
Yes, and he's massive. And he's a top guy too. So we were pretty excited about that. And so first thing for us was like, we want to dig a little bit deeper. We want to understand from every stakeholder's point of view what their pain points were, and really start for us to flesh out what this ideal product looks like from the ground up, because that's where we had to start. There was nothing in the market that was similar. There are no workflow management tools in Strata at all at that stage that gave us what we need.
Just email and phone?
Just email, phone.
Real old school.
Yeah, old school, a few faxes and handwritten receipts and invoices. Yeah, that's it. So heaps of filing cabinets.
Yep.
So we went out and we interviewed them all, and that from that work that we did, we actually put together this really great blueprint for us to then go to a developer and go, this is what we need you to deliver in our first MVP product. And we did that over a couple of years, sort of part-time as you do.
Yep.
And then in 2017, I think we handed that over to the developer to build out, and then we had our MVP in 2019. So
that was last year?
Yes.
So you've been both full-time for a year and a bit?
About a year, yes.
Yeah. Oh, okay. That's awesome. And so the actual product that you've built, explain to me what that is.
Sure. All right, so what we've got is a workflow management tool that assists the process of managing maintenance requests for a strata manager, a service provider, and the other contacts that are related to a maintenance request that would need to be kept updated. They include like a tenant or an owner that are on site. The maintenance management takes up about, give you some context, about 40% of a strata manager's workload.
As in fixing things, we're talking
Fixing
about.
things.
Yeah,
So an
reactive
inquiry
requests.
Yeah.
Not a leaking tap.
Yeah.
And they are coming from property managers and tenants.
Correct.
Constant.
Occupants, tenants, owners, committees.
My intercom's not working. Anything communal.
Yeah.
So it's nothing behind the door, which we classify as within the apartment.
Okay, so it's just the common areas,
Correct.
the strata areas. So you're managing the workflow between the tenants and the property managers and the strata manager through a platform as opposed to an email, right?
Correct.
And then you're managing that with the service providers. And Nick, the service providers, is that a marketplace, or do you select service providers and they have to meet a certain criteria to come on, or how have you built that?
Good question. Well, look, what part of the insights we've learned is there's been service providers that have been looking after these buildings for many, many years.
Yep.
So a lot of them know the buildings they're working on, but there's a pool of reactive requests that can go out to just anyone in the database. So to answer your question, a lot of them are already incumbents.
You just sign them up to the platforms, right?
Correct.
And they obviously know the nuances of the building, a lot of them already. So
Yes.
you don't necessarily. And then I guess, do you have a way of monitoring their performance within the platform as well?
We sure do. That was actually one of the pain points that Michael brought up when we first spoke to him about what he needed, and that was a feedback loop to be able to understand who, which contractors were best suited and which one was performing, and any downfalls in that. So, the contractors, service providers all have a profile within SMATA, and that profile gives the stakeholders that are choosing which contractor to use the visibility to be able to see their response times, how many quotes they've got requested that they haven't responded
Like
to.
a 5-star Uber.
Exactly, all the Uber-style ratings in there. And that really, again, supports the strata manager's ability to send a work or quote request to a contractor that really suits their requirements.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So the platform sounds epic. Where are you up to with it now? You know, you're a year full time in. A lot more happens when you go full time, as I'm sure you've suddenly realised. And where are you up to?
That's why we're talking to you.
Which is why you're talking to me. So where are you up to? Where are you guys up to right now? What's happening today? After the show, what are you doing after the show today?
Oh, look, for us at SMATA right now, it's a really exciting time. We've gone on this journey to deliver an MVP to our founding customer, if you like, and I think we've really been able to deliver a solution for our customer number one that has created all the efficiencies and everything we wanted him to be able to achieve out of creating this technology with SMATA. So we've been able now to refocus our energy on going to the broader market and being able to take our product, which we've created, that's it's totally customised for the strata industry, and scale it into some other customers throughout the country.
So you've had your pilot, and now you're going.
We're going.
That's it.
That's right.
Going gangbusters.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. I'm going to ask both of you this question because it's been a 5-year journey, albeit 1 year of it full time. And we always talk about this on the show, and I don't know if you've watched any other episodes, but a lot of these shows talk about how wonderful everything is and how amazing everyone is, and I like to do the opposite and just say, well, let's get a little bit more realistic. What's been, and we'll start with you, Nick, what's been the hardest thing for you in this journey from having a beer in Surrey Hills to where you are today? What's been the most difficult part of that for you?
Oh, the most difficult part. I believe not being able to switch off. It's relentless.
Yeah,
it's relentless. It's like that's probably the most difficult part. I'm used to it coming from the construction sector, but when it's your own business, you're engaged.
No one's ever admitted that on this show before, and it's a huge thing. And obviously, I've had 3 businesses, so I'm very acutely aware of not being able to switch off. And I'm glad you said it because no one's ever brought that up before. What about you? Is it the same for you, Zac?
Yeah, look, I think for me, I've been in startups my whole life, so I'm fairly seasoned when it comes to immune to it, if you like, and sort of understand. And I think for me, from the product side, in going into what we've created, we did the surveys, we understood what the customer wanted from what they put down with us in the plan. When we deployed it, it was like we missed some stuff, or they missed some stuff when we were speaking to them about what this needed to be.
Yeah.
And for us, we need to really move quite quickly and iterate our product in order to get adoption and ensure that our customer was happy.
Yep.
And I think the most challenging part of our product deployment right now to date is really that first initial push, trying to deliver a product that we wanted to get adoption for, and understanding that we actually missed the mark. And we had to go back to the drawing board as quickly as possible to reconfigure and deploy something that was going to get adopted. So that was really I think the biggest learning and takeaway was then.
So I think that's a problem every business has.
Yes.
The chance of you getting it right first time.
Yeah, of course.
Pretty much zero. I love the fact you've been in startups your whole life because so have I, and neither of us have any hair. Nick, you've just, yours is going, I tell you. You ain't, another 6 months, it'll be gone. This is what happens, you see. Yeah. Did you not realise?
Yeah.
Okay, so look, those both really good points. I like that. And when you have both of those things that have changed for you and have been hard for you guys, when you have those moments, you learn something. Most people learn something out of everything. What did you learn? We'll start where you're talking about. What have you learned by missing the mark?
Yeah, look, I think for us, we didn't miss the mark because we didn't do our due diligence.
Yep.
I think we missed the mark because we weren't agile enough to move as fast as we needed to be reactive in that time. We set our foundations to go, this is what we've got. We sort of let it go into the market without a consideration really at that stage that we would potentially need to totally change what we had at that stage fairly quickly. And I think the ability to be agile in this industry is really important, particularly with new products. So we've learned a lot out of that experience to go, well, we need different options to be able to cater for this market when particularly introducing new features. And from that, we've also set in place additional resources when we do deploy and go and put a feature into the market that gives the support and training that's required to be able to nurture the user through the process a lot more than we did at phase 1.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's cool.
I'd agree with that.
That's good. And what about you, what you've learned? You said that one of the things you found hardest is not being able to switch off. What have you learned having full time for a year now? So you haven't switched off for a year. Well, hopefully you have. What have you learned during that year on being able to deal with that? Because it is quite confronting.
Great question. So I think obviously for me it's having some non-negotiables.
Yep.
And it's just and it could just be just training a couple days a week.
Yep.
Right.
As in gym fitness training.
Well, yeah, just getting out and and ensuring that both Zac and I are non-negotiable on that, and we support each other and hold ourselves accountable to that, not only to that level of fitness required to ensure that we can continue this journey.
Yeah.
Right. So that's been a big learning for me, and I think it's helped.
And how have you found the whole co-founded journey? Are you glad of each other? Are you sort of a yin and a yang? Or do you think similarly? How? Because we see a lot of co-founders on this show, And one thing I've noticed is there is not a magical source that works. Like sometimes the opposite works, sometimes it doesn't work at all. And we were talking earlier about some people who came on the show who we haven't released their episode yet because they're no longer together.
Yeah.
So I guess, you know, the one thing I do know is there is no right or wrong. And I've been asked that question as a recruiter a lot, saying people who are necessarily looking for a co-founder, what kind of co-founder do you think I need? And I don't think there's a right answer. But I guess for you two, what have you found has been the best part of that?
Nick and I grew up together, so
okay, well, that's cool.
Yeah, so
we're childhood
we
mates.
knew each other when we were this small.
No, but we're childhood mates.
Not that there'd be anything wrong with that either.
So we know each other really well, I think. So for us, when we decided to go on this journey together, there was no surprises, I think, from personality point of view. In terms of the relationship and how we operate business right now, we all have our different roles within the business, and separate those, and agreed on when we went into this business what those roles would be. Nick plays to his strengths with his background in the construction industry and his ability to be able to manage contractors and the like, and I manage the other parts of the business which are required on my side. So I think the dynamic between us is really great, as it always has been, because we've been friends for a long time. Obviously we both respect each other and like each other. That's why we're here. So it's been really a great journey to be in business with your lifelong friend, which is really exciting to come to work together. Fun, exactly.
And I think that's been the goal for us. The ultimate goal is to work with your mates. And if you're working with your mates, we feel like it's not really work. And
that's the idea.
And that's the idea we've strived for, and I think we've been able to find that balance.
And I'm dying to know. So you find yourself in this pub in Surrey Hills talking to this guy about his pain points. Did you orchestrate that, or were you just three of you happened to be going for a beer and he was having a really bad day and goes, you know what?
We're all friends.
I've had
all
it.
friends.
You've obviously known him, but did you go to that pub meeting with an idea of starting a business, or did he just offload on you and you looked at each other and went, we got this?
Oh, I think it's probably me offloading on just me being me at the time and flying the flag for my former business, saying, okay, we think we can, is there an opportunity here? And then from that, it progressed.
It's interesting. And did you walk out of that meeting and look at each other and ring each other on the way home, or however you got home, or was it the next day or whatever? But was it immediately after that you said, have we got a business here? Or did it just sort of dwell on both your minds and one of you brought it up? Or?
I actually think we were really excited from that point, because, when... What was that?
It's interesting.
No, because the opportunity was just it's so great. With the sector that we're in, there's just so much opportunity for efficiency. And by not understanding that, and obviously living in apartments and owning properties, you're on the outside. But then when you were given the perspective on the inside, it was just like, wow, really? Is that what's still going on? People are still bringing invoices handwritten into the office and putting them on reception and go, pay me.
And they're still doing that now, I guess. I mean, obviously your platform's out, but it's not.
Oh, there always will be. There's a large cross-section of clients across the industry. And yes, there are.
Is that building owners that drive that, do you think? Or do you think it's more...
No, the service providers, really, who are bringing those invoices in, if you like. And, but Strata's always been built on records, right? It's an accounting business, and they're looking after the accounts, so paper...
Probably a fair bit of cash economy in there as well, I would have imagined.
Yep, there's plenty. Yeah. The big industries are built on the back of Strata, obviously.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, there's a huge cash economy. And
but I think to answer your question, I think we did come away from that being excited, but I thought also if meeting Michael, he's such a great bloke.
Yep.
And
great family values. His dad's a pioneer of the industry, and would you agree?
His business has been established for over 55 years.
That's a long-standing.
Second generation now in running the business.
That's right.
And the platform, he's loving it?
Loving it.
Loving it.
Yeah, and so are the users. The Strata managers, particularly. They're at their desk all day. They've been looking at this clunky accounting software for so many years. We've put something into their screens that is exciting and vibrant and beautiful, and they've got great UX, and really gives them now a lot more functionality and workflows and the ability to be able to manage buildings a lot better, which is what it's all about.
More efficiently, yeah.
Cool. All right. Let's talk a little bit about you, both of you. So we're sitting here on a show which goes out on video on YouTube and also goes out on podcasts, as we've talked about. And I know we had a quick chat about podcasts, but I'm interested to know, because everybody always wants to know this question, and I know it's a cliche, but we're going to ask it anyway. And we'll start with you, Zac.
Okay.
Tell me what podcasts you're listening to, and maybe a book that you've read that's had a real impact on you.
Okay. Podcasts that I'm listening to. So I really love Masters of Scale.
Yes,
Which is,
a few people have brought that up on this.
Yeah,
show.
Reid Hoffman, founder of LinkedIn.
Yep.
Just fantastic. I mean, the content, the people that he gets on are just, the guests are world class. So look, I think for us in this startup and you know, we want to scale our business. So the content's really relevant for us. And so it's a really, really exciting listen. And also the production that Reid Hoffman does is just so engaging.
Yeah.
It's really, really quite impressive. So I really love that. In terms of books...
Don't have a lot of time for books anymore,
No.
I bet. I know I don't.
Yeah, look, I love listening to podcasts now. Books, I kind of don't read that often as much as I'm probably...
Hard to drive while you're reading, and
100%,
and illegal, I feel.
100%, yeah.
Books might be more like what's on Amazon, but...
But I think for books, it would have to be, for me, The 4-Hour Workweek by Tim
Yeah,
Ferriss.
that's good. Have you read he's got the other one,
Yeah,
the 4-Hour
Body.
Exercise Week.
Yeah, the
I
4-Hour
like some of his books. He
Yeah,
writes
yeah.
well, doesn't
Yeah, he does write well.
He's unbelievable.
That changed my whole vision of business,
he? I
really.
should read that again, actually.
Yeah.
Ages ago I read that.
Yeah, great book.
What
I'll give you a copy.
I've got it. I
Okay.
know I've got it somewhere.
What started the juggernaut for him?
Yeah.
4-hour work
Absolutely.
week.
And what about you? Any
Well, there's a
podcasts, Nick?
few, but I'd say the one I'm listening to at the moment is what's called the Failure Proof Podcast
I haven't heard of that.
by Jamie Pride.
Okay.
And he got brought up at a dinner conversation one night, and he's all about. He's a serial entrepreneur.
Yep.
Who's all about improving the founders and the ecosystems they operate in, and he interviews some great Aussie talent.
Cool.
Right, so very interesting.
It's an
And
Australian-focused podcast.
Australian-focused
Yeah, it's good, 'cause
podcast,
there's not
so-
too many are there.
No.
no, and yeah, it's quite entertaining.
All right. And now my favourite question, which I know you would have both read and gone, what? When I sent you the running sheet, which is your beliefs, right? So a belief is something that you have that's fundamentally part of you. I want to know, and we'll stick with you, Nick, is there any belief that you had before you potentially got involved with SMATA that has changed based on your experience of now coming into what is the startup world?
Yeah, sure. Look, coming from the construction sector, we were very office-based.
Yep.
Right. So, you know, I had a team around me that would support a process, and sometimes I didn't even need to be there. So I think, Zac, you'd agree with me on this one, where the belief pre-COVID was that in order to be productive, you needed to be working in an office environment. However, I'm of the belief now that you can work remotely
Yep.
and still be as productive, especially with the collaboration tools we've put in place.
Yeah, like
your
Slack
your
or
product
Trello.
is part of that, right? Isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, COVID must have been positive for in terms of selling your product to some degree, because, you know, you're talking about handing invoices. Well, you couldn't do that for a period of time, and
right.
who knows, we might not be able to do it again.
Yeah,
So,
true.
And what about you? Any fundamental belief that you had, maybe even growing up, that's changed? It doesn't have to
Yeah.
be necessarily the startup. Anything. It's always an interesting question.
Yeah, look, I think for me it's about structure. And to Nick's point before, you know, in order to maintain a good frame of mind and consistency, you know, you need to have some non-negotiables, and with that comes the structure of your day and how you go about running the business and your day-to-day operations with, you know, your team and your peers and all that. So for us, we, you know, try and stick to a certain structure within our day-to-day runnings of SMATA, which also includes, you know, the out-of-office training, a couple of days a week with the team, and really a way in which we build our culture is around that quite methodical approach to our day-to-day. And I believe that, for me, has enabled me to, you know, really keep my mind right and also my health.
Yep.
In making sure that you know, you're not burning the candle at both ends, and you're considering that as well as a part of your day, which, you know, in startup mode, that kind of gets put to the wayside sometime when you're pushing to try and deliver an outcome. So yeah, that for me is probably my biggest belief that has come out of my realisation of what needs to go into building a business.
Cool. All right, last question.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, we are a recruitment business, as in the Nudge Group. And one of the things that I love to ask you, and I think it's really important because you're growing right now, as you know, we're working together right now, but that's going to continue, I'm sure.
Yes.
For anyone who's watching and loves what you do, works in the industry, wants to get involved, whatever form it is, we'll carry on with you, Zac, and then we'll come to you, Nick. Why would someone want to come work at SMATA?
Well, SMATA's business is in the strata industry. It's really an industry with so much opportunity. Given that it's rife with inefficiency, you know, there's heaps that we can do in this. So it's really exciting.
Yep.
For anyone that's working in it. You know, the opportunity for us, like every day, we're coming to the office and we're solving like known common problems for many stakeholders.
Yeah.
And that's for us is proving to be, you know, really rewarding. You know, as you see people starting to get, you know, pleasure out of working with the product and create efficiencies for them. So I think for anyone that's coming to join us, you know, there's a lot of fruit there for us to be able to...
Low-hanging.
Yeah, low-hanging fruit, if you like. And I think, you know, in terms of the opportunity for growth within SMATA, for any of our team, it's really driven by their ambition.
How many are in the team now?
We've got 20.
Yeah, so it's quite sizable already.
Yeah, 22. So I think, you know, driven by their ambition to be able to, you know, go on this journey with us and carve out what they desire in the business. So I think, you know, lastly, probably most of all, we're having fun doing it.
Yep.
You know, we've got a really fun culture and so, yeah, it's a really exciting place to work.
I liked your office too.
Yeah.
I liked
thanks.
your space.
Thanks, Steve.
What about you, Nick? Have you got anything to add to
look,
that?
I think other than you won't be pigeonholed into a role potentially, and you're only, I suppose, you're only the, how do I say this?
Limited by your own
You're only limited
imagination?
by your ambition.
Yeah,
all right,
ambition's probably better.
and we'll support you if you want to go in a certain direction. And like Zac said, we're having fun doing it.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Boys, thank you very much. Thank you so much
Alright,
for coming
Steve.
on the
Very
show.
much.
Thanks for having us,
You'll
mate.
both subscribe.
Absolutely.
Straight after this. And I'll look forward to releasing it in a few weeks.
Stuff.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us, mate. Cheers.